this is Eric from Thrivality, and I thought I would record a quick video on how to overcome stress and anxiety. But before we get to the specifics on how to overcome and some of the things that I have used or worked with clients on, it's really important to have some definition around uh, what stress is, because there are different types of stress and different levels. So let's talk a little bit about the types of stress. So the first is perceived, right? This would be, you're thinking about something external, right? It could be a job deadline or a test or public presentation that you have to make, or you're having to travel and you're beginning to worry about the stress of the travel. So you begin to internalize these things and you might start to feel stress about it. So the first part is the perceived stress. The second part is physical, right? You lift weights or you do yoga or you go for a walk or take a cold plunge or do hot sauna or hot yoga. These are examples of hormetic stressors. And when done to the appropriate amount, they're actually good stressors, right? So when you work out, you increase your capacity for what you handle coming at you. All right, so the next thing is you could have a biochemical stressor, right? So this would be toxins from the environment. So there's a big buzz in the social media about the presence of microplastics, for example, in our food and water. That is going to be a stressor on the system. Or it could be bugs and parasites that you pick up from international travel or excess food or alcohol. These are all going to put stress, for example, on the liver, the digestive system, and create maybe some systemic, inflammation. Then there's levels of stress, right? So if you go for a walk, that's probably, for most people, that's a mild stressor. If you go for a 5 mile run, that might be medium. And then if you run a marathon, that's a whole nother level of stress. And depending on your level of training, right, it could be a medium or a high level of stress that might take a couple days or more to recover from. So again, we've got perceived stress, physical stress, biochemical stressors, and then we've got levels of stressors. So mild, medium, high, and then I'm sure there's another one, that you might classify as really excessive. But it's also really important to talk about this principle of threshold, right? So threshold is the idea is that your brain and body have a threshold for what they can handle coming at them. So for perceived stress, right? There's so much that you can take. From a physical stressor perspective, depending on your training, you can handle so much weightlifting or so much running or so much cycling, depending upon your training. And the great thing about the principle of threshold is it means you can expand your carrying capacity, if you will, for what you can handle. So if you're, early in your career and you're working a desk job or, in the office, and then you move up and you become a vice president or maybe even the CEO of the company, each way you're going to gain experience that helps you take on and handle more stress. So stress is something that we can train for, right? We can raise our threshold for what we can handle coming at us. So there are some ways that when we think about stress and anxiety, there are some ways we can raise our threshold and dissipate perceived stress, right? So one would be a free way to do this is what I call primal trust journaling. And this wasn't developed by me, it's by the primal trust people. And so basically this is the idea: you journal, right? And you write down from, whatever comes to you over a 2 to maybe 15-minute period. And you ask the question, what would your body, right, say to me, to my spouse, to my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, to God, to the universe, right? What would it say? And so then you just write whatever comes in each of those different categories, between, 2 and 15 minutes. And then you tear it up, right? And that allows the brain and the body to sort of verbalize that stress and process it, right? As Jung said, so fate is unconscious thoughts that are not made conscious show up as fate, right? So that can be a really great tool to kind of surface and bring those stressors to mind and process them so the body can release them. And that also increases your capacity for what you can handle. Mindfulness or meditation, right? Meditation can be a great tool. I find when I just sit in stillness for, 20 minutes and just focus on my breath or something that I want to manifest in my life, that is really, really helpful for dissipating stress and raising what I can handle coming at me. Another one is breath work, right? So Wim Hof breathing, or I really like 4-7-8 breathing, which is where you take 4 breaths in, so to a count of 4. You hold for 7, and then you exhale for 8. I will often do this as I'm getting ready for bed, or I crawl in and I'm getting ready to go to sleep. I'll do 4-7-8 breath work, maybe 4 times, 10 times. And that just kind of helps, calm the body down. Now, from a tech-assisted perspective, here at Thrivality, we've got a number of tools that we use with clients. So one of my long-term go-tos has been something called Newcom, which is an app on my phone, and that suspends the brain in theta and alpha in the healing zone, and allows the nervous system to kind of recalibrate. I've done over 3,000 sessions of Newcom over the past 5 years. It's a great tool, and I often will marry it either with the Roxiva light, right, or full body vibration. So the other tool that I have is this Roxiva lamp that has its own set of tracks, right, or journeys, if you will. And so you're listening through the headphones, and then you're getting visual light with your eyes closed, right, from the lamp, and that can stimulate different parts of the brain and the body to repattern. So stress is often this accumulation of, like, rumination is a good example of like a scratch in the record. It just keeps repeating and you can't stop thinking about it. So tools like the Roxiva can help repattern, right, the brain and the body so it can dissipate the stress and perform at a high level. So with the Roxiva, for example, I will set this on deep delta dive, which is a frequency that's usually associated with slow wave deep sleep. And then I'll marry that with either Newcom, right, through the audio, and I can also pump that through into the sound bed, or the sound bed has its own set of tracks, like Cosmic Cell Cleanser, for example, that helps the body, right? It gets all this haptic vibration through the mat and in the audio to release toxins. There's an old saying, the issues are in your tissues. So your fascia, your tissues, they store stress. So change your vibration, change your life. Change your brain vibration, your body vibration through, this whole body haptic sound mat, and you can change your life. So again, to recap, there are different types of stress, right? There's the perceived stress that we internalize. There's external stressors like, working out, lifting weights that we choose to do. And then there's stuff in our environment that can cause stress, like bugs, toxins, heavy metals, microplastics, etc. We all have a threshold for what we can handle, coming at us. And so we can, raise our threshold through training. In the case of the liver, you detoxify. That's how you raise your threshold. You kind of get it back to where it used to be when you were younger. Or, and then simple things you can do would be like journaling or meditation or breath work, or some of the free things you can do. If you're looking for tech-assisted solutions, Newcom's a great one. The Roxiva lamp here at Thrivality Labs, fantastic for helping the body and brain repattern. And we can pump either the audio through here into the haptic mat, or, we've got all kinds of options. The mat itself has its own tracks, which I can marry with light back and forth. So basically, you come here, you tell me what your problem is, I'll figure out the tech, and we'll help you suspend your brain and body so it can repattern. Remember, the issues are in your tissues, and if you change your vibration, you can change your life.